You know what I've been thinking about lately? There's something about moving to a new city. Like when you leave where you grew up or where you've become comfortable and you go someplace new, there's usually this wave of excitement that comes with it. You start telling yourself, this is where things change. I'm going to get my life together. I'm going to become a different version of myself here. And for a while, this new environment creates new energy, new habits. And for a moment, it actually feels like that's going to happen. But sometimes it doesn't go like that. Sometimes you get there and things just don't click. The opportunities that you once envisioned don't really land the same way you thought they would. Some of the connections you make in the city start to feel off. And in this lane and period of life, most of us are always just trying to figure things out. It always feels like you're just slightly out of sync. Like you're so close to getting things going, and then boom, something else comes in and back to square one. So over time, that feeling starts to build. And something that started off with so much optimism tends to diverge into this is kind of hard. And once that thought process starts creeping into your mind, then the self doubt creeps in as well. And you start to question, like, why is this not working out for me? And this is where I think the situation gets tricky because after a while, you just don't see it as circumstances happening to you. You start to internalize this whole process and you start to feel it. I can feel like this place is just not accepting me, or the city is just not accepting me. So you find yourself having to work extra hard just to feel like you belong in the same space or the same city or the same culture that was once an exciting journey and now it feels very tiresome, now raking journey where you have to adjust yourself to fit the city. And so you keep trying, you adjust, you push, you tell yourself, maybe I just need more time. Maybe I just need more time. There comes a point where you've gone through enough trial and error and you've gone through enough ups and downs, and something in you just says, yeah, all right, this isn't it. Not in a dramatic way, not in an emotional outburst. Sometimes this moment just arrives with a sense of clarity and peace that your body, mind, and soul needs. And that's when the idea of leaving said city usually starts to make sense. And I think what I've been realizing is leaving doesn't always mean something failed. Sometimes leaving is just a means that you've taken what you needed to take from a said place or a said city and you got to move on. Because even if it didn't go how you planned, that whole experience shaped you in ways that if you didn't go through that, you would never come out on the other side the way you did. So I'm talking about the lessons, the experiences, the version of yourself you had to become just to navigate that space. That doesn't go to waste. Typically, you carry those experiences into whatever comes next in this journey of life. And the beautiful part about this analogy is I started thinking about how this shows up in relationships too. especially romantic ones. There are times where we try so hard to be seen by the other person, try to be understood, try to be chosen, and you keep putting in the effort, hoping at some point it eventually clicks. But sometimes, unfortunately, it doesn't. And the hardest part is realizing that doing more might not change that. And you have to recognize that if there is no alignment, no amount of effort will make that situation work. Because not everything you invest in is meant to last. Some things are just meant to shape you, and that's it. If you think about how life works, when you're doing investments, they always tell you to diversify your portfolio. Why do they do that? It's because they want you to mitigate the risk level of the money that you put into different baskets so that if one goes away, you're not losing 12 eggs at once. You're just losing one. So the same thing is applicable to this. Not every single experience that you go through with somebody is going to work out. And that's okay. Some things are just meant to shape you. And it's a very hard thing to accept. I know. Because we like to believe that effort should lead to outcomes. Sometimes it does, but sometimes effort just leads to awareness. That mental awareness that allows you to move on to the next chapter of what your body, your mind, and your soul requires. So maybe the question isn't, how do I make this work? How do I keep putting in effort? Maybe the question is, what did this give me? And is it time to move on? Because not every city you go to is meant to become home. And not every relationship you invest in is meant to stay in your life. Some of them are simply just part of the journey. So this week, I've been sitting with this. Where in your life are you still trying to force something that might just be there to teach you something? And if you were completely honest with yourself, would you stay in that said situation? This was your weekly reset. I hope I can see you guys in a couple of weeks. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and yeah, talk to you guys soon.